I went in the service 6th of June, 1942.
We set up a meeting with Walt West to see the barn finds on his property in West Texas. Like this 55 Ford Town sedan he bought brand new. We opened another shed to look at this 46 Cadillac. All dusty and dirty, but complete and running when it went in this shed many years ago. We opened the door and there was an old copy of Life magazine there from the 60s. Man, I don't know about you, but the sights and sounds kind of gave me a feeling like the old days when my parents were alive and I could go back home. For most of us, that feeling's long gone. Can't get it anymore. I mean, yeah, the cars are really cool to see in this little movie, but there's a whole lot more here. I got to ask Walt West what he did in the war. While we're sitting there in a living room that looks like it's right out of a Norman Rockwell painting from 1951. Man, this is cool. Thanks, Walt West. The shadow, no.
Dad drove that 55 Ford in this old building in 1972, and we took it out a few months ago. So Dad wanted it moved because he's afraid the old thing's going to fall down on it. So we'll go down and look at where it's at.
In 1942, Walt West was about to become a member of the Fighting Wildcats. And I don't mean as a member of the University of Kentucky athletic program.
And they sent me to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. And then I went from there to southern Alabama for basic training.
Turns out, West is 98 and a World War II veteran. In fact, when he joined the Army in 1942, his first job was teaching recruits how to drive.
And when I got down there was a bunch of people that was just like me that'd been drafted. And a lot of them was from back east in some of the big cities. And a lot of them had around 30 years old and a little over and under, had never driven a car in their life or never owned one. And of course we was mechanized, and we had all kinds of vehicles. And as soon as they found out that I knew a little bit about vehicles, they gave me a special job, And I took the regular basic training on the side, so I was busy teaching them guys how to drive vehicles. I went overseas '43. I was with the 81st Wildcat Division. I was in the field artillery. I was in the heavy field artillery, 155 cannons that shot a 93-pound projectile. That's what they shot. 93 pounds it weighed.
Linda, Walt's oldest daughter, drove the 55 to high school in the early 1970s. Harry, one of Walt's two sons, also collects old cars. But how valuable can a 55 Ford in a four-door sedan be? Yeah, the paint is original, and so is the engine. A 223 cubic inch V8 making 120 horsepower. My friend Pepe, the sage of Mexico, told me there's two ways of looking at value. Something that means a lot to you and something that's worth a lot of money. In this case, this 55 is worth a lot to the West family, and they'll never sell it.
And we wound up taking amphibious training on the West Coast. And so we were sent to the Pacific, and we joined Admiral Nimitz. Even though we wasn't Navy, we was called the 6th Army, and we was attached to the Navy for the next 2 years.
This picture, if you can read on the back, this mom's writing. It says Walt West's car. Willie was mom's name, and Linda, my sister, they're inside the car. That's October 1955. So he'd owned the car a few months, and that's parked across the street. We lived in this little old house across the street, and he's got it parked there in front of the front porch. But that's the car when it was virtually brand new. And
I'll take the color. So this car means a lot.
Oh,
So this
yeah.
is our family.
How much does this car mean to the family?
It means a lot to our family. We've grown up with it. We've taken vacations in it. We've all got to drive it. I remember when I was in high school, I wanted to drive that 55 Ford so bad to school, and he would never let me do it. He'd make me drive his old work car to school, but he let me drive it my senior year. He let me drive it to school, and I thought it was the best car ever.
glove box probably hadn't been opened since 1972, so we'll see if we can find out what's in here. Probably my sister Linda was driving the car because she drove it last to high school. So this is probably some of the stuff that she had. So here is a hall permit dated in 1971 in March, where she got a permit to be out of class because her Aunt Dixie called and said that the horse was out. So
And
the
I'll
horse,
bet that's bogus, because why would Aunt Dixie be calling
I
school
don't
to let us know the horse was out?
I don't know.
Probably was skipping a class.
Yeah.
MacArthur, he told the world that we shall return when he had to leave the Philippines. Well, I was with the bunch that went back when he returned to the Philippines, and we took the Philippines back from the Japanese.
But first came Angar and Peleliu, two remote islands in the Pacific.
And what big is uniform at? You know where your uniform's at?
Like to see it.
Yeah. Is it in this closet?
Walt West was a member of the U.S. Army's 81st Infantry Division that secured the island of Angar.
They took Angar because they could build an airstrip on it. And by doing that, they could fly the bombers from there to the Philippines and back. You know what I mean? Without refueling. I was a 50 caliber machine gun. That was my main job. On the side of being a mechanic. And I had 18 vehicles to keep going. And I was the first mechanic. And I wasn't a motor sergeant now. I was the first mechanic.
Well, he was born in Arkansas. So in 1920, he was born in May of 1920 in Arkansas. And they came out into this country when he wasn't very old. He didn't finish junior high. And because he'd been the oldest, he went into the CCC camps when they became available in the mid-30s. So, and then sent his checks home to help support the brothers and sisters and take care of the family. So that was over in Oklahoma, at Clinton, Oklahoma, is where they had the CCC camp, and he was in there, and it was kind of a military type situation. But so that's kind of how he spent his early years, and of course World War II came along, and he was drafted to go fight there.
So his World War II uniform's in there. That
I think
would be
it's
incredible.
in this bag right here. Yeah, he has. It's here somewhere. We just have to discover it. There it is. Wow. You want to?
Yeah. Let's see that.
Yeah, this is his World War II uniform. It's been kept intact. Got his cap, and this was the Eisenhower jacket.
And it fired those big 16-inch guns off the side of it, and that whole big ship was just rocked like this in the ocean.
Bombardment also came from the air.
Now, don't get me wrong, that Japanese Zero was one hell of a good airplane. I mean, if somebody beat that thing, if one of our guys could beat one of them things, they was one hell of a pilot and had a heck of a good plane under them, because they was good planes. They were dang good planes. There's no doubt about it. And the ones that I got to see that shot down, every one of them had Mitsubishi engines in them. So it wasn't easy. They were dang good pilots.
So where'd you go on vacation? How old were you, and how many kids in the car?
Oh, there was 4 of us. I was probably 6. We went up to Colorado. It was driven up Pikes Peak. It took us up Pikes Peak, that 55 Ford did. And we went to Canyon City, to the Royal Gorge. We drove it across. You could drive across the bridge at the time. And we drove that car, went across the Royal Gorge Bridge. That's where we went vacationing in that car. All 4 of us kids, Mom.
So Harry, that car's not going anywhere.
No, that'll stay in the family. Mm-hmm. We all learned to drive in that car. Well, let me back up a minute. On special occasions, we got to drive the 55 Ford.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Walt raised his own garden up until last year, and he can still walk. He traded a 52 Studebaker and $1,600 cash for the 55 Ford. Brand new.
The story that he's always told me, or I've heard him tell about when he bought the 1955 Ford, that he bought it in McLean, Texas, and him and Mother went down. Mother was pregnant with our younger sister, Carolyn, And he had gone after work, and we're sitting there. He said, I was sitting there, I had a hole in the bottom of my shoe, and my wife is sitting there pregnant and little kids. And he said, I know that salesman didn't think I could pay for that car. He just knew I probably couldn't gonna be able to pay for that car, and he paid cash for it. He put cash money down on that car. So that's what he's always told us about that. I especially love the part about the hole in his shoe.
He said, who you want to finance it with? And I said, I'm financing it myself, you know. And he said, he looked, he didn't take that for an answer. He looked at me again, and he said, well, are you going to go through the credit union, or you want to use a bank or what? And I said, no, I don't want to, I'm not doing any of that. I'm paying for it. I'm paying you for it. I'm giving you the car, the Studebaker, and the $1,600. $1,600 back in '55 is kind of hard to come by. But I had traded cars and sold cars and everything, and I had the money to pay the difference, you know. And so I ain't nobody owned it but me.
All right, let's go through the.
Where we're
We're gonna go look at the old Cadillac.
Oh, okay.
Go down there through the jungle.
Hey.
Through the salvage yard here. Sort of.
I can come and walk up there. Couple guys in the valley.
Well, if we get up there, you can get out. Stand there if you want to, bud.
Yeah, I'll give $50. He told me that okay. Now I'll $50 all over. I want $50 in that car.
Put a battery and started and had old nasty stale gas in it. Boy, it stunk. But it ran.
Yeah, it's right.
Set it down and get the gate open.
Yeah.
Maybe can we get by this free, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Be careful with the dog. There's a dog here. We need he gets over in there, he can get out in the street.
Yeah, let's go that way. All right, let's see if we can get you through the hole. On your nerves, no, you go down.
He had a collar on him.
Dog get down. Yeah. Okay, there's the gate.
Four-wheel drive it here, maybe.
Get over the rush.
Let you go through. You may have to pull that this right wheel over this. That's through it. Ready? We got him.
On another one.
Boy, Dad, that's the wildest ride you've ever had.
You know, and it fired those big 16-inch guns off the side of it, and that whole big ship was just rocked like this in the ocean. Yeah,
I'm gonna carry the old shed.
I've got to. I need to. Story about it.
I heard
Big payoff here. Okay, we get it out. We got the Cadillac out. Okay, hurry it up, and we get down in front of the house. Well, all the neighbors come out looking at it. So here come a guy up the street in a Cadillac, and he stopped on the other side of the street and come over and looked at it. And he said, "Oh, looks like you found an old car." And I said, "Yeah." He said, I'm on my way to Michigan." He said, "I'm from California, and I come down the highway, and I've seen you people out here looking at this car. And I come around the block, and I wanted to look at it too." And I said, "Well, you're welcome, sir." And he said, he looked at it, man. He said, "I'll give you $1,000 for it right now." I just got through getting it 50. Okay. He offered me $1,000 before I got it home.
Wow.
Okay. I told him it wasn't for sale. I didn't want to sell it. Hey, probably. Get it?
Too bad, that's a waste of time.
Wow. We'll probably move that pretty soon. I don't know how Bill's got it tacked up or something.
46. It's all there. The whole thing is all there. Yeah,
There we go. We'll just open
there.
Let's just open the makeshift door.
Yeah.
Can you move back a little more?
Yeah, boy.
There you go. There we go. Yeah.
Got the 346 feet in Canyon. That was all $1,000 for it before I got it home.
Been in here a long time. Let's see what the license plate is on it. He probably tagged it. Well, it's 75. So I guess he probably maybe bought it. It's got a 75 tag on it, unless they had a sticker that fell off or something.
Hey, Harry,
Yeah?
show it. I hope the front door will show him how you get this.
Yeah.
That's what I always show
I mean, it's,
him.
cars, of course, it's set outside, you know, and the weather. No paint. Actually, we polished it up, and it, you know, a million years ago, it actually was polished up pretty decent. No interior is pretty much intact. It's got a few seams that have come loose from age, but this one, like the tail light, you got to know how to do it. You raise the little goddess and get the hood to come up. I mean, drop it. It's all covered up, but we'll uncover it. Kind of keep the major stuff out of it. She's got the air cleaner off of it, but that's all the original. Been there a while. That's a little better looking. And some of the stuff that he was afraid might disappear, like the windshield washer reservoir, you know, that's all here somewhere. We'd have to find it. The air cleaner's here. He was probably up here working on it, trying to start it or something. Last time, and didn't put it back on. Baby back up.
Carburetor on there.
Keep the mice and the varmints off. I don't know what I lost, but it'll be all right. There she is, locked down.
I like it. I like your dog. What's your dog's name?
Stormy. He showed up after a big old, we had one of them big old storms, and Dad was up there. He was underneath that old Cadillac, and Dad heard him in a little bitty pup, and Dad heard him in there bawling, carrying on, you know, and he fished him out of there, and he's kept him ever since.
Plymouth, yeah. Okay, Doug Boyd brought it into Plymouth, and it looked like it was brand new, you know, and about 19, and when he had the Chrysler place, whenever that was in, he had it in 80, but he had it a while before that. But he had this Plymouth, and when I seen it, well, I tried to buy it from him, you know, and he said, "Oh, no, that's not for sale." He said, "I'm going to set it in there with my new cars." And he did. Well, it sat in there for probably a year. I don't know, it was quite a while. So one day I drove by there and it was sitting out in the lot. And I stopped him, and he was there. So I asked him, I said, "What are you doing with that Plymouth sitting outside?" You know, and I knew old Doug years before he ever got to be a car dealer, so I could talk to him any way he wanted to. And, but anyway, we had a lot of fun. But anyway, I said, you set one of them new cars out and put that Plymouth back in out of the weather, because you'll get a hailstorm on it. It's summertime, you know. Well, yeah, I need to do that. I just haven't had time, you know, and all that stuff. And I said, "Why don't you sell it to me?" And he said, "Well, no, I still don't want to sell it." And so I left it at that. I said, "Next time I come by here, I want to see that car somewhere else that's sitting out there." Okay, Doug? He didn't answer me. So about a month later, I come by and they're still sitting there. So I stopped and I said, "Okay, the car's still there." And yeah, you still haven't got it in, no. "And you won't sell it to me?" And, "Well, yeah, I'll decide I'll sell it." And then I said, "What do you want it for?" And he said, I'll take $1,000 for it. And I said, "No, I ain't giving you no $1,000 for it." I said, "It sat out there, battery's down on it, and everything's run out on it, and sitting out there in the hot sun, and I'm not giving you $1,000 for it." And so he sat there for a little bit, and he said, "Well, okay, I'll take $500 cash." And I said, well, let me tell you what I'll do now, Doug. I said, you bring it in here and put a new battery in it, put a sticker on it, and put a license plate on it, put a sticker on the windshield, and I'll give you $300 for that car. He sat there for a minute, and you know what he said? Pay me. I paid him, yeah, $300. I finally got it for $300.
Pay me and get out.
Get out of here.
Cook much, so he didn't have any use for the freezer as a freezer. So the freezer is a catch-all storage place. So somewhere in here, he probably knows right exactly where they're at. They're in the 55 license plates are in here. So, there we go. There they are. Boy, he hit them good. Wow. There. He's got them put in here. There's his 55 accessory manual, but there's the plates.
Wow.
Yeah, there's the match. Of course, they're matched.
55 license plates, yeah. They're in there in the refrigerator. Yeah. Yeah, 1955 license plates.